Okay, I think we're just about up and running. So today we are looking at the Felis 747-200 for X-Plane 12 in flight, or it's not in Flight Simulator, in X-Plane. um, and we're going to be doing a flight from um, London Gatwick over to Dublin. So if we go and have a look on the flight plan, I'll show you in LittleNavMap first, and then we'll jump over to Navigraph, and then we're going to be running Say Intentions in the background as well. So we're taking off from London Gatwick down here, flying a standard instrument departure, and then flying up to 28,000 feet. So it's only a short flight. So I guess this is what you might do for a 747. This would be like a repositioning flight. There's no way you would do a flight like this in the real world carrying passengers because it's just not worth the bother. We can go and have a look at Navigraph as well, and you can see the same thing mapped out in Navigraph. Okay, so we're going to go jumping off around the airplane to get it up and running. So to get the airplane up and running, I've put a link in the notes of the video. So let's go and jump over to the cockpit view. So in order to use all of this and to remind myself what to do in the right order along the way, if I just jump over to Google Drive briefly and I show you Felis, this is the original version of the document. So this is the guide to get the airplane up and running, and it goes through various things that are useful to know in X-Plane. So, you know, how to set views up, how to use some of the various plugins, and then it jumps into pre-flight. And that goes on for about 10 pages worth of fairly small text explaining, you can see here, look, exactly what to click, where to go, what to do. Obviously, once you've done it a few times, you get quite familiar with it, but it just goes through showing you everything. So at the moment, the document only covers the FMS system, which is like the retrofitted, the simplified flight management computer, but I will be upgrading this document over time to include the Cive system and the more modern, the halfway house towards the FMS system. But anyway, there you go. That's the document. There's a link to in the notes. It goes on for pages and pages and pages. I will be using it to get the airplane up and running, because otherwise I'm not going to have much chance, because I guess unless you do this day in, day out, you're not going to be able to do that. So I have flown it a couple of times now during the week with group flights with some friends over at My Air, and that gave me my kind of proving ground to prove that I understood how the systems work, and I'm fairly confident with it now. So we'll see how we get on today. And I'll work through my own checklist with you to get the airplane up and running. So what do we do first? In the cockpit, we come over. So, should I show you it from outside for anybody that hasn't seen the Felis 747? So if we go outside, there it is on the ground at Gatwick. I've turned the weather down a bit, so it's fairly, so you'll be able to see basically. The weather was pretty horrendous, so it's debatable whether you want to see this with real weather or not, or real time obviously, because it's the middle of the night while I'm recording this. So Alt 1 brings us into the cockpit, and we go over to the tablet to begin with. And before we do anything, we're going to make sure the parking brake is on. It is on. And we're going to come over to this tablet, and we're going to go to the ground icon, and we're going to set the chocks, and we're going to connect the GPU. And now I'm getting no sound through from the simulator. Why would that be? Interesting. The airplane, or the simulator is working, but we're not getting no call-outs on the radios, which is really bizarre. We'll find out in a moment when we start flicking switches. Normally you would get vocal call-outs for these things. That's really odd. Should we go and have a look in the settings just before we get going? Crew voices are on. PA is on. Okay, that's throwing me a bit of a curveball straight away. We should be hearing them calling things out, which is going to be really awkward later on. Let me just go and try some things first. If I go into the engineer, can I hear switches? That's all I'm worried about. So if I go and turn the battery switch on and off, that won't hurt anything. Yeah, so you can hear things. It's just for whatever reason, you were not hearing the call-outs when I was doing the ground operations. So we've connected the GPU, we've connected the air conditioning unit. So if you look outside, you'll be able to see them underneath the airplane down there. Okay, so that's the first thing we need to do. So then we go back to the homepage and then we go to the load calculator. So you can go and calculate all of your fuel needed and, you know, cargo, cabin crew weights. We're not going to be carrying any passengers. We're just going to do the quick flight. So we can go to the refuel page. We've got calculated fuel at the moment, fuel on board, £83,000. Calculated fuel. So yeah, we've got plenty. And so we don't need to go and refuel. Like I said, it's only a short repositioning flight. We don't need to change the payload of the passengers. So this is where you would get it to match the crew, the load sheet and load the aircraft up. But we're not going to be actually carrying anybody. So we're good with that. Okay, so in the back of the cockpit, we're going to go do some of these things. So let's go and turn the batteries on within the aircraft. And then we're going to go over to the auxiliary power section. And you'll see because we've connected the external power, it's lit up. So we can close the relays on that, which will give us power to the aircraft all of a sudden. Next thing we do is go to the standby power switch and set it to, we can close that switch by the way. Go to standby power and put it on normal. Then we're going to make sure that the essential AC bus is set to normal. It is. Then overhead, we're going to go to the radio master bus and give the radios power throughout the aircraft. So that's all done. And as soon as we got that, we've got the comm radios essentially. So we'll come to those in a minute. We'll go a little bit further first. So we're going to put the nav lights on. We're going to put the logo lights on. We don't need the dome light because, like I said, I've pulled it around to the middle of the day. We're going to go and set the inertial navigation system to align on its 3 systems, and that will take a little while for that to happen. It's interesting actually, if you look down here, it's not moving on this one, but it will do, don't worry. So INS emergency lights. So let's go back overhead. We've got the emergency light switch right in the middle. That needs to get armed and then covered. No smoking and fasten seatbelt signs to on. Then the window heats are over here. Probe heats just above them. So then we go down to the pedestal and we can go and make sure the radios are on as we wish. So there's the VHF radios. So I'm running sound tensions in the background. So let's go and just check that this is going to be working. So we would like to go to the clearance frequency 121955 and it's working. Yeah, so when I click on the frequencies here, it changed the aeroplane. So I'm happy with that. So AI chatter is paused. Oh, that's a new feature. Because quite often I would have to sit with the simulator on on radio check to clear out, and hearing anything while we're sat dormant. That's a new feature. That's really nice. Okay, so we could go and get our clearance, couldn't we? So let's go do that now. If I go and then hold on my button that I've got. Just going to wait and see if it comes back to life or not. So give it a few seconds. Okay, hopefully, can you all hear me on the channel? I'm going to start moving the view around to see if it happens. Okay, yeah, it's working again. I apologize for that. For some reason, YouTube dropped the connection to OBS twice in a row. So I guess there's some internet connection issues going on today in the cloud. It seems to be behaving now. Okay, so how far did we get? We've just done we were about to call for clearance, weren't we? And I think at the same time that cleared out, then we didn't get through to clearance. Gatwick clearance, Speedbird 073, requesting clearance as filed to Dublin with information hotel.
I'm working on that clearance. Stand by.
There we go. So we'll just wait for clearance to come through and then we'll read it back to them.
Speedbird 073, cleared to Dublin via the Novum 1 Mike departure. Departure, runway 26 left. Initial climb to flight level 060. Departure on 126.825 squawk 6534.
Clear to Dublin via the Nova 1 Mike departure. Departure runway 26 left. Initial climb flight level 060. Departure 126.825 squawk 6534. Speedbird 073. Okay, so 6534. Let's go have a look. We're going to have to move the camera around to do this.
Speedbird 073. Read back, correct.
So there's our transponder.
Ground is on 121.805. Safe flight, sir.
So he said 6534. Let's come back here and we want 65. 34. Okay, we'll leave that on standby for the moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard this flight with Air France, flight number 421.
Why are they saying Air France? This is BAW.
According to your boarding passes.
There's a bit of a mistake there in the system, isn't there?
Bins or under the seats in front of you. If you require any assistance, do not
okay, so we're going to let them get on with reading
Thank you.
their spiel out. I'm going to go and check the volumes though, because you probably don't. Oh, it's actually turned down already. Okay, so we've done the transponder. We need to go and set the initial altitude while we think of it. So we'll come back to the mode control panel in a minute, but we'll go and do that anyway. Okay. So we've done that. We've got the initial flight level in. Yeah, so that's all good. So we can carry on around the aircraft. So in the cockpit view, we're going to go back over to the system here. We're going to go to the INS system and we're going to insert our current position. And what we've actually done by doing that is program, there's a Civ A, a third system in here. So we've got two FMSs, which I've put in to make my life easy. And we got the Civ A down here as a backup system. So we've gone and essentially gone to the POS screen and keyed in our longitude latitude, but that's been done for us by that click spot on the tablet, just to shorten that job up for us. If you look overhead, yeah, you'll see that we're ready to go to nav mode up here. So I'm doing that a little bit out of sequence. I'm going to go back to my checklist, otherwise mistakes will be made. So Alt 4 brings us over to the engineer station. We're going to go to APU start and we're going to flick it to start, and then we're going to wait for the door to open and the valve. So give it a moment and then hit start and you'll see the RPM going up. So that's the little gas turbine in the tail of the airplane that produces electricity. And
Roger, thank you.
And compressed air.
LTU 194, you're welcome.
So we're just waiting for that to come up to 100%.
Clearance, LTU.
So once it's at 100%, we can close the relays for generators 1 and 2 for the APU and then close them to actually use them. And we're now using the APU, so we can go back over to the cockpit. So we're jumping around the cockpit like Spider-Man here. We can go back into the ground section and we can disconnect
to ground.
the
Disconnect
GPU
ground
and the APU.
power.
And we can come back, and the sound's working now. How bizarre, hey?
Ground power disconnected.
Okay, so having done that, we can go Alt 4, so we can come back over to the airplane. And supply vents, fans on, Gasper fans on. Go and put the recirculation fans on around the cabin. We can go and put the trim air switch on overhead. We can go and put the humidifier on. Now, I always forget to do this, but we could go and start firing up the galley. It won't have much of a draw on anything. So we can put that on auto. We can put the galley chillers on as well. So you can see the AC amps jumping up there as we start doing these things. So everything works in this aeroplane. It's really cool. So having done all that, we're going to go Alt-6 to come back over to the FMC, and we're going to go and program our route. So we're going to go flight plan page, and we're going to have to program it by hand, unfortunately, because this doesn't have Simbrief integration as far as I'm aware. So EGKK goes in the origin, EIDW goes in the destination, and then we're going to go and look at what's the easiest way to see this, probably the Simbrief version of it. So we're going from EGKK to EIDW, and we want to know about waypoints. So there's the SID, there's the first waypoint, so NOVMA. So that goes in here. So NOVMA. Then we can execute that straight away, and then we go to the next page. And from NOVMA we go direct to NIBDA. So NIBDA. From NIBDA we go direct to VAUGA. VOUGA. From VAUGA we go via airway N14 to Oxor.
Easy 17 Alpha.
So
say again, please.
N14.
Easy 17 Alpha, I request the 80s frequency.
W.
Disregard Easy 17 Alpha.
So while this is all happening, even though that said stop the chatter, I'm going to put us back on radio check, which will shut everything up. So N14 to Oxor, and then direct to Duckno. Duckno. So back in the aeroplane, and the aeroplane's not coming back to us, which is really super helpful. Duckno, DUCNO. See, the advantage if you have multiple screens is you can just look sideways, but I want to demonstrate to you what I'm looking at, therefore I need to have everything on the one screen. Duckno, and then direct to Beryl. So BERUL. Then direct to Badsy. So we'll execute that. Go next page. You don't have to execute all the time, but I just do as a matter of course because it's easy and I know what I've done. So Badsy, and then we're into the standard terminal arrival route. So we can just put Badsy in. So execute that. Then we're going to go into the VNAV settings. So it's only for reference. It doesn't actually have VNAV in the way that a modern airliner does. We are going to say the transition altitude around here, though, is going to be 6,000 feet. And then we're going to go to the next page again. And our cruise altitude today was 28,000. So 280. Flight level 280. Okay, let's go do the departure then. So departure from Stansted is the NOV M1 mic. So next. NOV M1 mic, there it is. No active runway. Previous. So we, what did we say? 26 left. Runway 26 left. Next. NOV M1 mic. Execute. Go back to the index and then set our arrival up into Edinburgh. So 28 left and the Able I4L. So ILS 28 left and Abby 4L. There it is. Execute. Oh, and do we need a transition? It's not written on here, but I bet there is one. It's the Pisa transition. Execute. Okay, so that just connects all the dots up. So what we should find, having done that, is if we go into legs and flick through, we should find no there is a discontinuity because there's some directs in the way. So between Badsea and Ablin, so we can just close the transition up. Press legs again and just go down through, and that's all looking good. Okay, so we've got the flight management computer programmed in with the route. So that does mean that we can then go to the mode control panel up here, and we can say we're going to be using INS mode during the flight. But we need to put the flight directors are the switches on the ends. That's the auto throttle switch. So we're going to be using INS mode. I'll talk about the speed control a little bit later. We can go into pre-select altitude select mode. That's fine. We can go and line the course and headings up with our departure runway as well, which is quite a nice thing to do. So we know we're departing 26 left, which is 257 degrees. So let's go do that. See, in the real world, this would be a lot quicker because there's 2 people doing it. 3 people if you include the engineer. Okay. Calibrate the altimeters. Press B to shortcut doing that, and they're already good. What did that actually change? Let's press B again. Yeah, it's because I've set custom weather, so they're essentially the same. Tablet. So we're going to go and set the speed bugs. To do that, we're going to go to Performance Calculator and set the speed bugs in here, and you'll see the little markers have moved around. So we get our rotate speed bug in there, which is really nice. That will have redone the speed for the auto throttle. We'll take it out to, say, 210 knots, just so it's, you know, where we want it to be when we accelerate out on the standard instrument departure. So Alt and 5 will take us back down. We can set the EPR mode. So I've got some notes on this of what this all means. It's the 747 equivalent of the thrust modulation system that you see in other aircraft of this era, like the BAE 146. So you have got takeoff mode. To ease my workload, I'm going to put it on continuous mode and put it on speed mode. It just tunes the engine, basically. So it's not worth worrying about more than it being in that mode, but it means that the throttle will be working in this mode. So obviously you can get a bit more power for the short term in takeoff departure mode. But otherwise, yeah, it actually works by measuring the pressure in the engine. Okay. So back in the cockpit, we're going to go back into the ground app, and we're going to remove the chocks. And
cockpit to ground. Remove the chocks.
And we'll prepare for engine start. So we need to do pushback as well at some point, of course. So we'll go and put the beacon light on.
Chocks removed.
Yeah, let's go and do the pushback first. So we got this lovely tool in X-Plane called Better Pushback. So we're going to pre-plan our pushback. But before we do that, actually, yeah, let's escape from that for a moment. Let's go back to, say, intentions, and they gave us the ground frequency, so 121.805. That will have changed the comm radio for us. Gatwick ground, Speedbird 073 requesting pushback and engine start.
Speedbird 073, pushback and engine start approved. Face west.
Pushback and engine start approved, face west, 073. So we'll go and have a look. We'll put ourselves back on radio check for the moment, and we'll go back to them. That just keeps the radio quiet for us in the sim. So we are over here somewhere, and it hasn't picked up where we are, has it? There we are. So we need to face west, so the tail has to go to our left. Okay, so if we go and have a look in Better Pushback, we can pre-plan. So that way is west as far as we're concerned. It's the wrong way round. It's aircraft oriented. Does that make sense? So we want it to go that way, back and to our left. So we say, can we have that, please? And enter.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready. So better pushback. start the pushback.
Round to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
So if we go and look outside, you'll see it reverse through the building because the animations are quite hilarious. It will probably come in anywhere near us. Or I'm hoping it will. Waiting for the tug. Here it comes, smashing through the wall. So we will need to release the parking brake when it gets here, otherwise we won't be going anywhere in a hurry. While we're waiting for that, let's go and put the bleed air open. And we'll go and open the isolation valves to the engines.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
Okay, he's still doing it. They haven't finished yet. And then, so yeah, shift and what was it? So we've done the isolation valves. Those two are horizontal, that's good. So we're making sure the APU can reach the engines. And we're looking at this gauge to make sure it's higher than 30, and it's way higher than 30, so it will be easily able to start the engines up. So then overhead, above the cockpit, above the end of the pilot and co-pilot, we can put the start valve on.
Ready for engine start.
And now we're just waiting for the pushback to happen. So if we have a look outside and see what they're up to.
Connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Okay, let's go do that for them.
Parking brake released.
Tow brakes off.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
So we should see our stuff start moving, and there we go. Okay, so to start the engines, what we do, I'm trying to remember this now. We need to go and put the fuel pumps on to begin with, so let's go do that. Actually, we don't have any fuel in the center tank, so there's no point. So fuel pumps are on. Okay. So overhead, above the cockpit, you can go and use system 1. We'll hold it. Oh, so we're going to ground start. So hold it down until valve opens. And then in the back, you can see the N2 will come up. When it comes to 20%, we can advance the fuel control lever or starter lever. So you should get call-outs.
20% and 2. Fuel on.
And then you will see
Light
over here,
up.
exhaust gas temperature's going up, N1's coming up, so it's coming up to speed. When it's ready, that switch will go back all on its own to off on the ignition. So we'll just let pushback happen.
Starter off.
Okay, so we can do engine number 3.
Starting engine 3.
So you hold the switch on until the valve opens. Keep an eye on... So
engine stabilized.
Obviously in the real aeroplane, it's a lot easier because the people are talking between themselves in the cockpit, communicating these statuses. We don't have that. We just have to jump round.
And 2.
So that has to come up.
Fuel on. Light up.
Okay, so if we watch this, you'll see the numbers coming up for engine number 3.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
And
parking brake set.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
So we should get...
Starter off.
There we go.
Starting engine 2.
Hold it on.
Starter valve open.
Valve opens. Keep an eye on N2.
Engine stabilized.
That's the previous one. It's all good fun, isn't it? And there we go, coming through 20%.
20% and 2. Fuel on. Parking brake released.
Numbers coming up.
Light up.
I didn't release the parking brake.
Parking
that wasn't
brake
me.
set.
That was a stray mouse click, I'm afraid. I've got the toe brakes on anyway, just in case. And we can disconnect with hand signals to the tug. He'll pull away. And we can go for the last one. Open the valve. And watching N2 come up.
Engine stabilized.
God, yeah, it's hard work doing it all on your own, isn't it? Shifting seats every few seconds.
20% and 2.
And
fuel on.
Cell is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed.
Light up.
Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
so engines are coming up. So if we go and have a look outside, which we can do with Shift 4 in Explain. So he's pulling away with the tug now. And we've been pushed out to the correct place.
Starter off.
Okay, so engines are up and running. So post-engine start, we have a few things to do. So overhead,
Engine stabilized.
we go and turn the start valve back to off and cover it. Then in the back of the aircraft, we can go over to the electrical panel and we can close the generator circuits for every engine. And that means we can now switch off the APU. So we can stop it first and then close the door. Okay, so having done that, we can go back to the PAX valves and open them up to start pressurizing the cabin up. We can go and tell this what altitude we're going to be flying at today, which will be 28,000
Parking
feet.
brake released.
We can set the rate at which that will change. We'll leave it in the middle, that'd be fine. We've done the APU, so we've done the PAC valves. Hydraulics. So over here, we're going to put all of the hydraulics on. The lights over here are the anti-skid system. We'll do that in a moment. So come back over to here and we're going to set the flaps for takeoff.
Flaps 10.
And then we're going to set the trim. So the trim marker needs to be in the green area. Otherwise you get a klaxon. I've done it a bit too much there, but there we go. So preparing to taxi, we're going to go and put anti-skid on and cover it. Turn the nose wheel steering on and leave it unguarded. We're going to go and turn the runway turn-off lights. That's the taxi lights equivalent for this aeroplane. And parking brake off, and then we're off to the races. So we're going to go back to say intentions now, go back to the ground frequency, if I can find it, 121805. Gatwick ground, speedbird 073, ready to taxi to runway 26 left.
Speedbird 073, runway 26 left. Taxi via Kilo, November, Alpha November, Mike.
Taxi via Kilo, November, Alpha November, Mike for 26 left, Speedbird 073. Kilo, November, Alpha November, Mike. Okay, I'm going to turn my head tracking on at this point. So just gently open the throttles and we're moving.
Echo November X-ray, pushback approved, face south.
Pushback approved, face south. Echo November X-ray.
Look how tall we are compared to other airplanes.
Easy 8459, stand 113. Any update on our PDC?
Okay, this is November, just
Clearance
coming.
on request, stand by.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Air France Flight 421, heading to Dublin. Our estimated flight time is 1 hour and 55 minutes. Please pay close attention to the upcoming safety demonstration, as it contains important information even for frequent flyers. To fasten your seatbelt, insert the metal fitting into the buckle until you hear a
November
click.
until
To tighten,
Alpha November.
pull the strap. To release, lift the buckle. Remember, your seatbelt must be fastened whenever the seatbelt sign is illuminated. Please return your seat backs and tray tables to the upright position and ensure that your window blinds are opened for takeoff and landing. Mobile phones and electronic devices must be set to flight mode. Laptops or larger devices must be securely stowed during takeoff and landing. Smoking and the use of e-cigarettes are strictly prohibited anywhere on board.
Speedbird 073, contact tower on 124.23. Have a good afternoon.
Pull the mask firmly towards you. Place it over your nose and mouth and breathe normally.
Contacting tower 124.23, Speedbird 073.
Life vests are located under your seat or between the seats.
Tower Speedbird 073, taxiing to runway 26 left.
The aircraft. Special life vests for children are available. floor level lighting will guide you to the nearest exit, which is clearly marked. Please note
Speedbird
that the nearest
73,
exit may be
London.
behind you. In case of
Gatwick
evacuation,
Airport
leave
Tower,
across the
runway
window
26
and
left
follow all
taxi
safety
via
instructions
Alpha
from the
Sierra,
cockpit.
Alpha.
The brace position is as follows.
I haven't followed the route, have I? So we've gone slightly off track.
Place your hands on the back of your head. Please remember that the safety information card contains all details. Thank you for your attention.
Tower, Speedbird 073 holding short for runway 26 left. Let's go and put the nose lights on. Sorry, strobe lights. Did they hear us? Tower, Speedbird 073 holding short, 26 left.
Speedbird 073, runway 26 left. Winds 190 at 14, gusting 24. Cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, 26 left, Speedbird 073. So we'll just line up and then we'll get our last few bits and pieces done. So we've already got the lights on. Did that a little bit early. So I said we'd have a little talk about the speed modes, didn't I? It's rather rudimentary compared to some of the more modern simulators, or more modern aircraft I should say. So what we're going to do is put the aircraft into indicated airspeed mode after rotation. So we'll keep an eye on speed and we'll go to autopilot and then go to indicated airspeed mode, and at which point when we engage indicated airspeed mode it will hold the speed we're at, and then the thrust we give it will control the climb rate until we get to 6,000 feet, at which point it will hold automatically. And the throttle I'm giving it at the time, unless I go to auto throttle, the throttle I'm giving it at the time will cause it to accelerate, obviously, once we level out. So it's kind of a bit of a dance changing the modes over here. But obviously, hopefully it will become obvious to you. Let's clear the warning from earlier. So we're looking pretty good in the cockpit. So brakes are off, flaps are good, trim is good. I think we're good to go.
Thrust set. 80 knots.
Accelerate. We've got no payload on board, look. It's going like a rocket ship.
V1. Rotate.
And we're up. That never normally happens. Gear up.
Gear up.
So remember what I said? Helps if you can get to the switch in time.
Skyway
I'm going to have to kick in.
Contact departure on 121.23.
We are so light.
Contact
Gears
departure on 121.23, Skyways 406.
So I kicked in and corrected it before it got into mess. Right.
Speedbird 073, contact departure on 126.825.
There we go. So we need to put this onto... I'm going to have to turn head tracking off. It's being a real pain. The click spots are tiny. And it's killed the altitude select look as well. In fact, is the guidance working? I have a feeling, a horrible feeling, guidance isn't working. Oh no, it is. It's working. It's fine. I forgot. I changed the flight plan. We had an immediate right turn on the previous flight plan, so we're climbing out towards 6,000 feet, and we need to go and change frequencies. Departure, speedbird 073, departing Gatwick 26 left, approaching 6,000 feet. And it's still, yeah, it's levelled off look and it started to accelerate, so we've gone beyond 250 knots. So I'm just pulling the throttles back to stop that.
London Gatwick approach identified.
So what we can do is put
0 direct Merida.
climb flight level 160 direct Merida, speedbird 073. That's the Midhurst VOR. I don't know why he called it Merida. So 160. So you saw the problem there of one person doing these things, where you get behind the aeroplane. So we go indicated airspeed mode. So auto throttles off. So we cancel the warning where we've disengaged it. So we've told it to go indicated airspeed mode. And they've cleared us straight up to 230. Cleared to flight level 230, speedbird 073. So we'll set that as our target now.
Speedbird 073, contact London Control on 127.7.
Contacting London Control 127.7, speedbird 073, good day. London Control, speedbird 073 with you climbing to flight level 230.
Speedbird 73, London Control identified. Hi there.
So we're going to push the throttles on a little bit because we're using indicated airspeed mode, so it's holding 250, which is great until we get to 10,000 feet. So what we'll do is go to vertical speed mode. So notice vertical speed is tracking our actual vertical speed at the moment, and we're at max at the moment because we're so light. So coming through 10,000 feet. So landing lights come off. And we'll go to vertical speed mode and we'll dial it down,
Dear guests, the lavatories
which will allow the aeroplane to accelerate.
You may also use approved electronic devices in flight mode.
So
Cabin service will
inertial
finish.
navigation system's working.
Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, so we're following the turns. But we're now, I've dipped the nose by using vertical speed mode and the speed's coming up. So then when we're happy with our speed, we'll just go to indicated airspeed mode again. So it's a little bit more manual and just knowing the systems.
Speedbird 73, London Control, climb flight level 280.
Climbing flight level 280, speedbird 073. So we're still on altitude select, we're just ahead of the aeroplane, so we're moving the target further away from ourselves. Speed is still creeping up. If we wanted to accelerate more quickly, we can obviously cause that to happen. So we can set our speed bug for in a moment's time for say 350. So 280 was our cruise altitude. So Mach 0.6. 747 is quick. Especially an empty 747. So we're coming up towards our target speed. We don't want to be too close to the limit really. So let's go then and say, just waiting for that needle to creep up, and then we go indicated airspeed mode. Because remember, it's going to...
Tango Echo is with you. 5,000...
So at the point you switch it over is the point it holds it at. So any excess power it's got, it's going to turn into climb rate. So you'll see that climb rate gently go up once the wing's level, once it's finished turning. You'll see this shoot up probably towards 4,000 feet a minute. Yeah, look, it's just levelling us out. Watch that needle. So obviously once the wings are level. The trouble is we're climbing as well, so the air's getting thinner the whole time. Look at it climb. So we're on 2992 already. Let's have a look at this flight plan. It's doing a great big arcing turn towards Nubbury. You can see, look, it's travelling at a hell of a speed. So Mach 0.7. And we can obviously play those silly games in X-Plane or actually seeing the aeroplane go whizzing past. And we can see the flyby view. Okay. So all of this knowledge and experience of how the 747-200 works will pay off when PMDG release their 747. And we'll be able to jump in it and operate it straight away, which will be fun. Let's go and clear this message. We've got a message on the system, so we're going towards Nubbury. So this will keep track with us, you know, of the next waypoint all the time. So we've done our massive arcing turn. Look, it's coming in towards Nubbury, so we'll be doing a left turn in a moment to get out towards Hexa. And if we go and look on LittleNavMap, this was predicting that we wouldn't get to top of climb until way over here. But then it didn't anticipate we'd be flying empty and taking off like a rocket ship and climbing out at 98%.
Speedbird 1 is at 8,000 feet, climbing flight level 220.
Speedbird 1, London Control, identified. Good afternoon.
Climb flight level 240, Speedbird 1.
That is absolutely rocketing up to altitude, isn't it? We can obviously clear this out as well. We can click the little patch down here and we can bring the course round to the direction we're going, which is just good practice to do. I believe in this aeroplane the distance measuring equipment and the HSI and CDI are only going to reflect the nav radios, so we'd have to go and tune it into something sensible to see something en route. So for example, if we went and put the Daventry VOR in 11640, we would see it. So 11640, and there we go, look. So if we were to, it's saying we are, I'm amazed it's, oh it is giving, yeah, DME, 44 miles away. If we were to tune the course round, we could tell exactly what direction off our nose it is. And there it is, look. So it's about 30 degrees off our nose, 25 degrees. Which is correct. Yeah, if you look at it from here.
Down to level off.
Obviously the modern systems do automatic triangulation of VORs while you're flying, and will corroborate that with the GPS position and the inertial reference system, and it all happens all the time for you. You have to do all of that yourself in this. So if you want to play games with triangulating VORs, go for it. Draw bits of, you know, pencil lines all over the map. Okay. So we heard the klaxon there telling us we were within 1,000 feet of our target altitude. We're just coming up to it. You'll see the climb rate is descending, and look at the speed. So this is the point you go and turn the auto throttle on.
Expect the 84 Lima arrival.
And we'll give ourselves a bit more room.
If you'd like to descend now, just say the word.
Expecting the able 4 left, or 4 Lima arrival. We'll be descending in about 15 minutes. We'll let you know. Speedbird 073.
Snack and beverage service. We have some delightful options available, including our signature croissants and a selection of fine wines. After the service, selected items from the Air France shop will be available for your convenience.
So the reason I've gone and put the auto throttle on is we can also go altitude hold now. We're at cruise now, so the thrust level we had would have kept the aeroplane accelerating and it would have oversped itself. Therefore we've switched on auto throttle just to keep us at 330 knots. You can use vertical speed during the climb out and then use the auto throttle. That's an option. So we're now hurtling across the countryside at Mach 0.83 with a little bit in hand. Making a gentle turn. Okay, we'll be in Ireland before we know it. I've chosen a standard terminal arrival route that's a bit fiddly on purpose, just to give us something to do. So you can see there's some constraints involved. We're going to come into Dublin. We have to be between 15 and 18,000 feet, so we need to lose 10,000 feet. That's going to take us about 30 miles. So some point, yeah, you can see there's a marker here. So at some point after Beryl, we'll need to start descending to get to somewhere between 15 and 18,000. The next target for us, you can see, is Ercom at 9 or above 9,000. So you're really looking for the first one where you need a firm height, and it's Sivna at 7,000. We also need to drop to 240 and then 220 knots. Then we fly this, it's actually a DME arc, but you fly the arc and then turn in and descend in to line up with the ILS. So we can see that in Navigraph as well. So if we come in and we can pull up the chart to see that as it's illustrated. So you've got 9,000, or above 9,000, then 7,000 all the way around, then drop down to 3,000 feet and then roll in for landing. So we're just hurtling across the Welsh borders in a few moments. But yeah, this is obviously, like I said, the knowledge of how this aeroplane works is going to pay off, because when the PMDG version lands in 2024, we'll already be familiar. And the thing that will be most useful is knowing this. And it's not that complicated, thankfully. When you actually break it down, you have the fuel pumps, you have the isolation valves for the APU, you've got the packs for the air conditioning, you've got the cabin, the galley electric power, you've got the not cross feeds, that's the wrong word. You've got the relays that transfer the power, bus transfers for the external power and the APU, and then obviously once the engines are running, you've got the generators for the engines that you can switch over. It's really good. Obviously you can see the engines with the tickers there to show you how much fuel they've used. All of this works, by the way, in the Felis 747-200. There's also the FDAS system. I've not really delved into a lot of this yet, but it all works. Very cool. And obviously the Civ A. The only reason I've not gone into using the Civ A, which is this inertial navigation system, is there's a lot of work involved in programming waypoints in. So it would be rather boring, I think, for you to watch that on a video of me looking up coordinates. But there's something that's worth pointing out about that, that's worth knowing. If you go and look at Navigraph, and you go and say, we look at the inertial reference systems work from a starting point because they don't have GPS. Okay. So when you're looking at the airfield and you go and look at the charts and you go and look at the taxi charts, for example, and you'll see, where are we looking? Parking stands. And normally, yeah, here we go. Coordinates of the parking stands. That's so you can program the inertial navigation system with your starting point accurately. Interesting, isn't it? Well, interesting to me. As an ex-colleague of mine used to say, and I've never forgotten it, Andy, if you're out there somewhere, for a given value of interesting. Okay, so a helpful chap in the live stream has posted the METAR for, or METAR, however you like to say it, has posted the weather for Dublin. We got 230 degrees, 12 knots of wind. Few clouds at 1,300 feet, so yeah, there's nothing to worry about. We can get that weather lots of other ways as well if you weren't aware, so we can go and hover over the airfield in LittleNavMap and it will tell you. You can see that section in the middle, and you've got two lots of weather there. You've got what's happening in the simulator and what's happening in the real world. So X-Plane 12 is obviously the simulator and NOAA is the real world. So if anyone's not seen it yet, there's been a big update to Navigraph. And if you like flying via VFR, we've got a few minutes while we can go play with this. Let me just get rid of that chart. There's a new option in the menu. We've got VFR charts for Europe now. How crazy are these? It's cool, isn't it? And it's got the VORs on it, it's got all the sectors on it. It's very busy in places, but it's exactly like the one that's hanging on the wall behind my monitors. The one behind the wall that I've got is the NATS chart, the National Air Traffic Service chart. This isn't. This is obviously, I think it's Rogers that they have put in the into Navigraph. But it's very similar. So the more you zoom in, the more you see. It's crazy. It's a lot of information packed in. So if we go and look over towards Dublin, look how busy this airspace is. Look at that. But that's built into Navigraph now. So I'm going to put it back on IFR for the moment. Okay. So we're hurtling along. If we remember, we said we would need to start descending shortly after Beryl, and we're whistling in towards Beryl already. So we need to get down to, we'll put 16,000 feet in as our target altitude, and then we'll have a play with how we're going to descend. We'll do it by going to indicated airspeed mode and then pull the throttles back. So yeah, we'll take the auto throttle off and just pull the throttles back, and that will cause us to descend at the speed we're doing. We'll, just before we do it, we'll communicate with air traffic services and tell them that we're beginning our descent. Okay. A couple of minutes until we get to Beryl. A sip of my drink. So I'm not sure if we covered this. I think I did it when we flew around the area previously. What we used to know as Snowdonia in England has now gone to its native name, so the Welsh name for it, which is Eryri. And what we used to know as Snowdon is Erwydfa. Okay. So have we got any good VORs around that we could tune into before we get near the ILS? The Dublin one. 11120. So for the moment we'll tune this into 11120. Whoops. And that gives us, you can see how far away we are, look. That was the main reason for doing it, to be honest. So let's pull the course round as well to point the direction we're going. When we're doing the arc around the airport, we'll tune this for the ILS obviously and set the course to the runway direction. But for the moment, this is all good. So you can see Beryl is there as well on the GPS. 10 miles to run until we get there. Shouldn't take too long. Especially doing Mach 0.8. We are quick. So as soon as we make the turn at Beryl, I'll have a chat with ATC. Or Air Traffic Services even. It's funny how everybody calls it ATC. It's really Air Traffic Services. So that's the turn at Beryl happening. Okay, let's get on the blower. London Control, Speedbird 073, beginning descent for the approach into Dublin.
Speedbird 073, cleared. Ably 4 Lima into Dublin. When you're ready to begin your descent, descend, flight level 190.
They're only letting us down to 19. Descending 190, Speedbird 073. So we'll go to indicated airspeed mode. We go to altitude select and we pull the throttles back. So that means we're essentially going to glide. So you can see there's the feet per minute. It will get to about 1800 feet a minute normally. It will stabilise. It will go steeply to begin with.
Speedbird 073, cross Ablin at or below flight level 180.
Cross Ablin at or below 180, Speedbird 073.
Now beginning our approach to Dublin. I kindly ask everyone to return to your seats, stow your tables and fasten your seatbelts. Please note that the use of the lavatories is no longer permitted at this time. Thank you for your cooperation.
That's interesting, they only cleared us to 190 and then told us about passing Ablin at 180. Still a little few wrinkles for them to sort out, I guess. So someone's pointing out low flying area. Well, we're actually right over the top of it. This is the Mach Loop. So that's it. We're right over the top of it now. It's, yeah, there's down through Panpertog and up around the back. Yeah. So that is the Mach Loop for anybody interested. There's Chorus Corner, Chorus Caf.
London Control, Speedbird 6 Romeo Bravo out of 17.3 for 330.
And if you look further up here towards Anglesey, you'll find RAF Valley.
6 Romeo. Bravo.
Carnarvon.
London Control, identified. Good afternoon. Speedbird 073, descend, flight level 090.
Descending flight level 090, Speedbird 073. So we're coming down really quite steeply. So I may if we can take control of that by putting some power in. Because remember, it's holding speed at the moment. And to be honest, we only want to get down for our own purposes to about 10,500 to begin with, so we get time to decelerate to 250 knots. And remember, we got some constraints on the way, so by the time we get down to Lipgo, we need to be at 240 knots, but we need to be 250 to go under 10,000 feet. So we've just slowed our descent rate quite considerably, just by adding more power, because we're in indicated airspeed mode, so the airplane's going to hold this speed. My throttles aren't quite lined up, which means we'll be yawing. So all we're really worried about is to come through Dublin at the appropriate height. So we've got another 1,000 feet and we're at 18.
Seabird 073, descend altitude 3000, QNH 1013.
Cleared down to 3000, QNH 1013, Speedbird 073. We don't need to do that yet. We're staying on the standard terminal arrival route. Let's go and confirm that with them. We want to get the graph up so we can see it. Landing control, just confirming, Speedbird 073, we're on the Abli for Lima arrival into Dublin.
Flight level 070, Speedbird 828 Yankee. Descend flight level 030, Speedbird 828 Yankee.
Speedbird 073, affirmative, you are on the Abli for Lima arrival into Dublin.
So even though they're giving us these spurious clearances on altitude, we are still going to follow the constraints. Now typically, and I've questioned the mentor about this, and I've talked to a couple of real world pilots, it tends to be, and it varies around the world, it tends to be if you're instructed to a flight level on departure, you go straight to it. If you are cleared down to a flight level on descent, unless they tell you specifically direct, or via best efforts or whatever they want to use the language, you follow constraints on approach. But on departure you can ignore constraints unless they tell you specifically via the standard instrument departure, which essentially means follow the constraints. So some subtle pieces of language that mean quite a lot. Okay, so where are we? Where's our LittleNavMap picture? So we want to be above 15,000. Yeah, we're going to be good. So we're at 16,000 and descending slowly at the moment, which puts us in the right place to decelerate to 250 knots as well. So let's go and set this to 250. If we then go vertical speed mode, remember this keeps track of our vertical speed all the time, and then we pull the throttles back, that will allow us to slow down.
Clear direct pizza.
Cleared direct to Pisa, Speedbird 073. Why have they done that? So they're cutting out the whole of the route and telling us straight to Pisa, so we can ignore.
073, contact Dublin. Approach on 119.555.
So before we do that, aviate, navigate, communicate. We're going to go and look on here for Pisa. Why is it not on our flight plan? Oh, it's part of these. Have we got lap mode? Why is it not in here? Oh, there it is. So we're going to go direct to Pisa. So we're going to go direct to
Speedbird 073,
Pisa.
Contact London Control on 129.38.
and execute. Contacting Dublin approach 119.555, speedbird 073. Dublin approach, speedbird 073. We have just been vectored direct to Pizza for the arrival into runway 26 left. 28 left, sorry.
Speedbird 73, Dublin approach, identified. Hi there, cleared Pizza transition. Expect the ILS runway 28 left approach into Dublin.
Cleared the Pizza transition, expect the ILS runway 28 left approach into Dublin, speedbird 073. So we need to be way lower than we actually are at the moment. So, well, we've only got to lose 10,000 feet. We'll lose that in time.
Speedbird 073, chalk up for you. Descend flight level 050. Turn left heading 305 vectors for the ILS runway 28 left approach.
Thank you very much. Flight level 050, turn left heading 305 vectors for the ILS runway 28 left approach, speedbird 073. So they're bringing us straight in. So 050, we've got the speed down, so we can go indicate their speed limit now and pull the throttles back to there. 5,000 feet. Turn left 305, heading. So we go heading mode 305. So they literally are bringing us straight in, look. So we need to then go and get the navs ready, nav radio ready, and the course. So 11135 on the nav radios. And course should be 278 degrees.
Shamrock 66 Victor, Dublin departure, identified, climb via the City flight level 230.
Climb via the SID flight level 230, Shamrock 66 Victor. Flight level 190.
Okay, you're looking good. 250 knots. We probably need to drop that though.
Flight level 190,
They didn't give us a speed instruction, did they? No. But we will need to slow down enough to actually come in properly.
10,000.
So rather than follow their vectors too closely, I might go and put us for lap mo direct. So let's go and do that, which is close enough to their vectors, but it gives us a bit of...
Please check that everyone is seated and has fastened their seatbelts.
So let's go direct,
Ladies and
lap
gentlemen,
mo,
we
execute.
are now on our final approach into Dublin. Please ensure that your electronic devices
We're down to
are
10,000 feet.
stowed until we arrive at the gate. Kindly return your tray tables to their upright position and make sure your seats are fully upright as well. Fasten your seatbelts. Thank you for your
We're going to go to vertical speed and we're going to say we want to get to 20 knots. And we're going to go through the spoiler zone. So the aeroplane will continue on down, the throttles won't do anything, they're still at idle, but the speed will bleed off. And we'll carry on down at the same rate we were descending at. So we're looking for 220 knots, look. And we want this to go into INS mode.
Speedbird 073, turn right, heading 325.
Okay, we'll do it your way. Turning right, heading 325, speedbird 073. Which they're almost doing the same thing, look. They're bringing us in ready to be on the glide slope. I was thinking for myself there, and they've thought for me. Okay, so we're descending to flight level 050, 5,000 feet. What is the transition altitude?
Dublin departure, good afternoon, DSO 361. Gate 312 is ready for IFR depart to Amsterdam.
5,000
While I grab the
feet.
paperwork.
2891.
Departure, good afternoon, DSO 361, your airspace, climbing 8,000 feet.
So we're just coming down to 5,000.
Speedbird 073, descend altitude 4000.
Descending 4,000 feet. Speedbird 073. And we'll get rid of the spoilers now. And we'll go indicated airspeed mode. We're a little bit slower than we projected, but that's absolutely fine because that's a speed limit, not a target. So coming down through 5,000 for 4,000 feet. They're bringing us in low really early, aren't they? Let's get a ship down now, look. You can see the land. There's Ireland. Love Ireland. I've only ever been there a couple of times. Do I have the X throttle plugin installed? No, I've just got the throttles mapped to make it straightforward, and it works. So I'm just using out of the box X plane and being pragmatic. There's a couple of options in the tablet for the Felis 747-200 which allow us to do that. So we've got to our target altitude, remember, and so we need to bring the throttles back up or put the auto throttle on to go to 220 knots. So we'll do that. We'll go for 210. So we'll go altitude hold at 4,000 feet. And we need to go and set this for the runway direction. So 278 degrees, yeah, we've already done that, haven't we? Yeah. So nav radios are set. The course is set for the ILS. We're looking good. So there's the offset from the runway direction to the direction we're travelling. There's the CDI. So obviously that will swoop in towards us when we get a little bit closer. We can cheat and look at the GPS to see where we are.
Dublin departure, Hawk 78 Romeo, holding short, runway 28, right with information further, and we're heading to the west. Hawk 78 Romeo. Dublin departure, we have information uniform, and we're holding short at runway 28 right, ready for departure. Hawk 78 Romeo.
Speedbird 073, 14 miles from Lapmore. Turn left, heading 305, descend altitude 3000 until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS, runway 28 left approach.
Turn left 305, descend 3,000 feet until established on the localizer. Cleared for ILS, runway 28 left approach. Speedbird 073. So 305. Descend 3,000. So we go altitude select, and we turn this back to indicated airspeed mode. We pull the throttles back, and it will hold the speed we're doing. So let's see what they're doing. They're bringing us in really close to the beginning of the feathers. I would sooner have come in later, or further out than that, especially with a 7.4, to give ourselves more manoeuvring room. But I can go manual control; it'll be fine. So we'll go flaps 1. Then we won't have to worry about spoilers. We'll have a look at the chart and see what we can use. So flaps 1, 275, flaps 5, flaps 10, 230. We can go flaps 10.
Flaps 10.
Which will descend a lot more quickly because we've got a lot more drag. So we're just coming down towards 3,000 feet now. So remember, aircraft's going to level out. We'll have to put the throttle back in or go to auto throttle. So if we go for, say, 180 knots on the auto throttle, and as soon as we level out at 3,000 feet, so you should see the vertical speed climbing back off as it goes. There it goes. And then before the speed bleeds off too far, because remember we're just, throttles are idle at the moment, the auto throttle isn't on. So we'll go and turn the auto throttle on, and you'll see the throttles are lifting back up to bring the airplane up to speed to hold 180 knots.
Expect flight level 36010, minute after departure. Departure on 119.555, equals 2565, speedbird 251, heavy.
Speedbird 251, read back correct. Ground is on 130.
And we're looking good. So you can see now, see the oval come in. There's the glide slope. We're below it at the moment.
28 right.
We're not getting, oh we are getting distance measuring. So we're 13 miles out. So I'll center the screen up somewhat and get ready to turn the autopilot off and fly it in myself, because it's much more fun. Should we do that now? And turn the auto throttle off. So we'll hold at 3,000 feet. We could actually climb into the glide slope, couldn't we? Turn the auto throttle warning off so it doesn't annoy us. So just to waggle the wings so you know.
Contact Dublin Tower on 128.8, crossing lap mode.
Contacting Dublin Tower 128.8, one crossing lap mode, Speedbird 073. Thank you. Dublin Tower, Speedbird 073 with you on approach, runway 28 left. Got an altitude alert.
73, Dublin Tower, roger, continue approach, runway 28 left.
Continue approach 28 left, Speedbird 073. So we're watching the glide slope now.
Gears down, green light.
We need to be further to the right, don't we? We still have a bit of a vector to cross to get on line for the centre line. You can see the runways over there, look, in the mist. We're a little bit high.
Flaps 20.
Ryanair 36 Tango Victor.
Flaps 30.
Contact departure on 119.555.
Contact departure on 119.555, Ryanair 36 Tango Victor, bye bye.
Localizer alive.
Here comes the CDI.
Speedbird 073, winds 230 at 12, runway 28 left, cleared to land.
Clear to land, 28 left, Speedbird 073. Should we put the head tracking on? A bit high. I'm just dropping it onto the glide slope, put the spoilers out a little bit. I got distracted looking out the windows. Here we we go, here comes the glide slope. Get it to match the pappies.
Ryanair 45 Quebec Kilo, roger.
Quebec Kilo, 188 left. Thank you.
Shamrock 63 November. Contact departure on 119.555.
Glide slope.
40.
Glide slope.
30. 20. 10.
Oh, I'm drifting.
Check reverse. Out, off, reverse. Check reverse.
Let's check the instrument side.
Speedbird 073, welcome to Dublin. Contact ground on 130.79er.
Contacting ground 113.9er 073.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dublin. Did you know that Dublin is home to the famous Guinness beer and has a rich literary history, being the birthplace of writers like James Joyce and Samuel Beckett? Thank you for flying with us today. Please remain seated until we reach our final parking position. On behalf of Captain Jonathan, First Officer Sandra, and the entire crew, we wish you a pleasant
we need to leave those on, don't we? Strobe comes off though.
The local time is 12:22 p.m. For those with connecting flights, please note the following. Flight number...
Dublin ground, Speedbird 073, just exited 28 left, requesting taxi to the gate, please.
375 to Nice, departing at 1:30 p.m. from gate 15. Thank you.
So obviously I still need to practice the finals a little bit.
Taxi to West Apron Apron. Gate 619C via Sierra 6 Sierra, Whiskey 2. Have a good day.
That's interesting. Taxi, gate 619C via Sierra 6 Sierra, Whiskey 2. Good day. 619C, so Sierra 6 Sierra, Whiskey 2. So this is Sierra 6 Sierra, and then Whiskey 2 takes us along here. Okay. So this is whiskey.
Ryanair 4620, contact tower on 128.8, so long.
Tower 128.8, Ryanair 4620.
So they told me to come along Whiskey 2. Oh, okay, so it was in here. 619C, there it is. So we need to double back. So we're going to go back around here. We'll get there eventually. So 619C is in the middle of that bank facing the fence in the middle. It doesn't quite line up, does it? Okay, so we turn right off of here. So hopefully we're going to see it. That one.
Shamrock 60 Tango, contact tower on 128.8.
128.8, Shamrock 60 Tango.
Mike Oscar 738, APU start approved.
Okay, so back in the cockpit. This is the easy bit now. So ground. Set the
Cockpit
chocks.
to ground. Put the chocks on.
And when they've done it, they'll...
Cockpit to ground. Connect to ground power.
We can go and turn off the
Chocks are
intentions
on.
now. Which has done its work. Connect the... We don't need the ACU either, actually. So then once we've done that, we can go back into the back of the aeroplane.
Ground power connected.
We can then close the relays on the ground power, which means we're using the ground power, not the engines anymore. Which means then we can cut the fuel to the engines, which shuts them down. We can switch off the hydraulics. We can close the air from the engines to the rest of the aeroplane. We can turn the packs off. We can do all sorts of things. You can see everything winding down around the aeroplane. It's really cool how it all kind of makes sense. So overhead in the front, we can go and turn the window heats off, turn the probe heats off. We can turn the inertial reference systems off. And we can turn all of the lights off now around the aeroplane. Just checking things as I go. The steering can get disarmed, anti-skid can go to off. Or we can basically leave the aeroplane as we would wish to find it. And in the back, we can then go and turn the standby power to off, and we can disconnect a ground power if we wish to. So if we just disconnect it and then turn the batteries off, we'll go cold and dark. And there we go. Yeah, it's good fun, isn't it, this aeroplane? So this is the Felis 747-200 in X-Plane 12. Obviously, the 747 is coming from PMDG to Flight Sim 2024 in the near future. Oh yes, so people might want to see, this is quite nice, something you can do in X-Plane that you can't do in Flight Sim very easily. We can toggle replay mode, and it remembers a lot, an hour and 3/4 in my case, probably the whole flight. So we can wind ourselves back through the flight, and we can go and watch our landing, and you'll see me float, which I wasn't hoping to do, but I did. Yeah, we held, look, just in the ground effect for a few seconds. Nice smooth landing there. And there goes the reverses. The nice thing you can do in X-Plane now, if we just take it back out, you can play train spotter mode, or plane spotter mode even, and watch it from the tower. I wish Flight Sim had this sort of functionality. It's so cool to be able to do this. You can see when I put the anchors on the brakes, any moment, there it goes, the nose wheel just dived into the floor. Started winding the flaps in. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that. So that was a little bit of X-Plane 12 and the 747 flying from Gatwick over to Dublin. So as you saw, the departure from Gatwick was a bit hair-raising, but that was more to do with me being on my own in the cockpit and trying to jump around like Spider-Man, as I mentioned earlier, which always makes things entertaining. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.